If elected judge, I will work tirelessly to promote fairness, efficiency, and justice in the Lawrence County courts. My name is Jonathan Miller, and I ask for your vote on May 20th for Lawrence County Common Pleas Judge.
A career dedicated to serving our community. A prosecutor who fights to protect our children and our community from violent criminals. An experienced trial attorney who knows the inside of a courtroom more than the inside of an office. Jonathan Miller has the right kind of experience to serve as Common Pleas Judge for Lawrence County. On Tuesday, May 20th, vote Jonathan Miller for Lawrence County Judge.
Good afternoon, my name is Ashley LAPIER, and you're joining us for Beyond the Bench. Sitting to my right is Jonathan Miller, Lawrence County Common Pleas Judge candidate, and we're looking forward to asking him a couple questions about his candidacy and seeing if you're going to vote for him this year for the election. So tell me a little bit about yourself, Jonathan.
Sure.
What's your legal background?
Ashley, thank you. Pleasure to be here and pleasure to speak to your listeners on the podcast. So I've been a practicing attorney for over 20 years. I graduated from the University of Pittsburgh School of Law 2004. Once I graduated law school, I began private practice in Pittsburgh with a law firm where I practiced primarily corporate and business law. I did that for a couple of years, and my wife and I had our first child in 2007, and she wanted to move a little bit closer to home and be near her mom and dad. So in 2007, we moved up to Lawrence County, and I opened a private law practice here where I provided community-based legal services to individuals and businesses throughout Lawrence County. My wife and I, by the way, reside in Shenango Township. We have 3 wonderful children. The oldest is graduating from Shenango High School this year. But I had spent about 4 years in private practice, and in 2011, I got a phone call from Josh Lamacusa. He was our district attorney. At the time, he was in office for a couple of years, and the office had a need to replace the child abuse and sex crimes prosecutor for the county. That position was open. The individual who had it before had retired. So when Josh called me and asked me that question, it was a difficult decision. My practice was starting to thrive, and that particular caseload is not an easy one to take on. But at the time, I had felt that it was necessary for the county. It's an important role. Those types of cases need to be addressed and addressed properly, and I felt that I could do a good job at it. So I did take the position at that time, and I've been and still am the child abuse and sex crimes prosecutor for Lawrence County since 2011. During my time at the DA's office, as my caseload grew over the years, got experience in court, experience with jury trials, experience dealing with and working with our law enforcement partners. My responsibilities in the office increased, and I became the director of the Lawrence County Sexual Assault Task Force, which is a dedicated group of men and women who investigate sex crimes and child abuse. Also became director of our Criminal Investigative Division, a component of our Lawrence County Detective Bureau. 2012, I was also fortunate enough to be asked to serve as municipal solicitor for the city of Newcastle. And I've served in that role for over 12 years. And during that time, we've taken Newcastle from being a distressed city financially to emerging from Act 47 and with a future that can point towards economic development and revitalization. So that's a general background of my legal career to this point.
Wow, you've done a lot. Thank you so much for what you're doing for the county right now with that. So let me ask you a couple questions that I think a few of our residents may have. What do you see as the biggest legal challenge facing Lawrence County currently?
Well, I think to break that question down a little bit, I think one of the biggest challenges we're seeing in the courts right now is the continuation of issues related to substance abuse and narcotics use in our community. The numbers have gone down over the past few years from what I would consider to be the height of the heroin and fentanyl pandemic, so to speak. But that problem does persist. And being in the courtroom every day and seeing people come in whose lives have been affected by substance abuse, whose children's lives have been affected by that, it's an issue that our county still faces and it still needs to be addressed.
Absolutely, I agree with you. What cases or legal issues in your career has had the biggest impact on how you view justice? And how would that experience shape your decisions as a judge?
Sure, very good question. As I look back on my career, in particular the last 14 years as an assistant DA, I think my view of justice, in terms of what we can accomplish and what we can do for victims of crime, it really varies depending on the case that's put before the court. I recall a child abuse case I handled that, unfortunately, we did get a conviction, but it was not the conviction we wanted. And my expectation was that the victim in the case, the child, was going to be upset by that. But in fact, in reality, they were elated that we got the conviction because it means that they were believed. So where that leads me is justice sometimes may not be what people expect or want, but the cause of justice is what's important to pursue. And I've kept that as my philosophy as a prosecutor, to be fair, steady-handed, balanced, and objective in court. I think that's an expectation the community has from a prosecutor. I think it's also an expectation they would have for a judge.
Very good. In fact, what qualities do you feel are important in a judge?
I think judicial temperament is a very important quality in a judge. You want a judge to be fair and balanced. You want a judge who's going to treat all parties equally when they come to the courtroom, whether it's a defendant, a custody matter, a victim of a crime, the attorneys who appear before the judge, who have to practice in front of them on a daily basis. You want to expect that judge is going to be fair, consider the facts, apply the law to the facts, and make a right decision based on the law, not on any other particular persuasion or affiliation.
Very good, very good. I'd agree with you that those are all very important qualities for a judge to have. What is one thing you hope to accomplish as a judge that would make a lasting impact on Lawrence County?
Certainly. I think one of the things I would work on if I was lucky enough to be elected by the residents of Lawrence County is enhancing the efficiency of the courts and also giving opportunities to individuals who are facing substance abuse problems to get early access to drug treatment, vocational programming, social services before their case is resolved, but also upholding their due process rights as they go through the criminal process. So I think if we can make the courts more efficient in terms of addressing cases in a timely manner, whether that be custody cases or criminal cases, and then offer opportunities through the court system for people who are struggling with substance abuse to get early help and early intervention. I think those two things could really enhance our courts and make it more accessible and successful for the county.
I agree with you. That's very good. This is a municipal election, and turnout typically, historically, is not very good. Why is it so important that folks vote this year for this election?
Yes, we have 3 judge seats open. We have 3 veteran judges who are departing by way of retirement. And so this election is very important because the individuals that are elected to hold those positions are likely going to be in those spots for 10, perhaps 20 years. Judges make very important decisions that affect the lives of residents of Lawrence County on a daily basis. So it is important that folks look at the candidates, look at their backgrounds, ask the question, is this the type of person, is this the type of background that's going to make a good judge for our county, and get out and vote because it is important. Municipal elections generally turnout in our county has been well below 30%. And during major elections, those numbers go way up. But it's the local officials, the local judges, the local leaders that really have the most impact on your daily life here. So don't ignore this election. No matter who you vote for, get out and vote on May 20th. That's my only advice on that.
Yes, that is very good advice, and hopefully everybody that's listening will go out and vote, as it is going to directly impact their life here within Lawrence County and how things move forward. I typically like to give the opportunity for our guests to kind of give some closing remarks about how they believe the message they want to share with the people out there that are listening today.
Yes. My background is diverse in the practice of law, as I think you understood as I went through it. I bring to the table experience in corporate and business law, in community-oriented practice, family law, serving individuals in our community. I've served 14 years in the courtroom, in public service, as a prosecutor, trying to keep our streets safe and protect our community. And I've served our city as a municipal solicitor, trying to help Newcastle get to a better place. I think those experiences, that background, make me well suited to be a common pleas judge, and certainly appreciate the invitation to speak to your listeners. So thank you.
Jonathan Miller, thank you so much for joining us today with Beyond the Bench. Again, my name's Ashley, and thank you for tuning in today.
If elected judge, I will work tirelessly to promote fairness, efficiency, and justice in the Lawrence County courts. My name is Jonathan Miller, and I ask for your vote on May 20th for Lawrence County Common Pleas Judge.
A career dedicated to serving our community. A prosecutor who fights to protect our children and our community from violent criminals. An experienced trial attorney who knows the inside of a courtroom more than the inside of an office. Jonathan Miller has the right kind of experience to serve as common pleas judge for Lawrence County. On Tuesday, May 20th, vote Jonathan Miller for Lawrence County Judge.